Good evening, everyone. So we'll start today's class, today's reading challenge, the seductive pull of social norms. Humans are herd animals. We want to fit in, to bond with others, and to earn the respect and approval of our peers. I think all of us agree to that, no? Such inclinations are essential to our survival. For most of our evolutionary history, our ancestors lived in tribes. Becoming separated from the tribe, or worse, being cast out, was a death sentence. The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Okay. Meanwhile, those who collaborated and bonded with others enjoyed increased safety, mating opportunities, and access to resources. As Charles Darwin noted, in the long history of humankind, those who learn to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. As a result, one of the deepest human desires is to belong. And this ancient preference exerts a powerful influence on our modern behavior. We don't choose our earliest habits, we imitate them. We follow the script handed down by our friends and family, our church or school, our local community, and society at large. Each of these cultures and groups comes with its own set of expectations and standards. When and whether to get married, how many children to have, which holidays to celebrate, how much money to spend on your child's birthday party. In many ways, these social norms are the invisible rules that guide your behavior each day. You're always keeping them in mind, even if not at the top of your mind. Often, you follow the habits of your culture without thinking, without questioning, and sometimes without remembering. As the French philosopher Michel de Montaigne wrote, the customs and practices of life in society sweep us along. Most of the time, going along with the group does not feel like a burden. Everyone wants to belong. If you grow up in a family, sorry, that rewards you for your chess skills, playing chess will seem like a very attractive thing to do. If you work in a job where everyone wears expensive suits, then you will be inclined to splurge on one as well. If all your friends are sharing an inside joke or using a new phrase, you'll want to do it too. So they know that you get it. Behaviors are attractive when they help us fit in. We imitate the habits of three groups in particular: the close, the many, the powerful. Very nicely said. Each group offers an opportunity to leverage the second law of behavior change and make our habits more attractive. Proximity has a powerful effect on our behavior. This is true of the physical environment, as we discussed in chapter 6, but is also true of the social environment. We pick up habits from the people around us. We copy the way our parents handle arguments, the way our peers flirt with one another, the way our co-workers get results. When our friends smoke pot, you give it a try too. When your wife has a habit of double checking that door is locked before going to bed, you pick it up as well. I find that I often imitate the behavior of those around me without realizing it. In conversation, I'll automatically assume the body posture of the other person. In college, I began to talk like my roommates. When traveling to other countries, I unconsciously imitate the local accent despite reminding myself to stop. As a general rule, the closer we are to someone, the more likely we are to imitate some of their habits. One groundbreaking study tracked 12,000 people for 32 years and found that a person's chances of becoming obese increased by 57% if he or she had a friend who became obese. Okay. It worked the other way too. Other study found that if one person in a relationship lost weight, the other partner would also slim down about one third of the time. Our friends and family provide a sort of invisible peer pressure that pulls us in their direction. Of course, peer pressure is bad only if you're surrounded by bad influences. When astronaut Mike Massimino was a graduate student at MIT, he took a small robotics class. Of the 10 people in the class, 4 became astronauts. If your goal was to make it into space, then that room was about the best culture you could ask for. Similarly, one study found that the higher your best friend's IQ at age 11 or 12, the higher your IQ would be at age 15, even after controlling for natural levels of intelligence. We soak up the qualities and practices of those around us. That's why I know, I think all our elders say be careful of the company you keep. One of the most effective things you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. New habits seem achievable when you see others doing them every day. If you're surrounded by fit people, you're more likely to consider working out to be a common habit. If you're surrounded by jazz lovers, you're more likely to believe it's reasonable to play jazz every day. Your culture sets your expectation of what is normal. Surround yourself with people who have the habits you want to have yourself. You'll rise together. To make your habits even more attractive, you can take the strategy one step further. Join a culture where one, your desired behavior is a normal behavior, and two, you already have something in common with the group. Steve Camp, an entrepreneur in New York City, runs a company called Nerd Fitness, which helps nerds, misfits, and mutants lose weight, get strong, and get healthy. His clients include video game lovers, movie fanatics, and average Joes who want to get in shape. Many people feel out of place the first time they go to the gym or try to change their diet. But if you're already similar to other members of the group in some way, say your mutual love of Star Wars, change becomes more appealing because it feels like something people like you already do. Nothing sustains motivation better than belonging to the tribe. It transforms a personal quest into a shared one. Previously, you were on your own. Your identity was singular. You are a reader. You are a musician. You are an athlete. When you join a book club or a band or a cycling group, your identity becomes linked to those around you. Growth and change is no longer an individual pursuit. We are readers, we are musicians, we are cyclists. The shared identity begins to reinforce your personal identity. This is why remaining part of the group after achieving a goal is crucial to maintaining your habits. It's friendship and community that embed a new identity and help behaviors last over the long run.
So that is one of the things we are doing here is build
Yes.
a community, and this community wherein we support each other, we encourage each other, and just because you are in this community itself will help you to improve your English, your communication. That's exactly what we're doing.
Yep. That was my idea to show that. Imitating the many. In the 1950s, psychologist Solomon Asch conducted a series of experiments that are now taught to legions of undergrads each year. To begin each experiment, the subject entered the room with a group of strangers. Unbeknownst to them, the other participants were actors planted by the researcher and instructed to deliver scripted answers to certain questions. The group would be shown one card with a line on it and then second card with a series of lines. Each person was asked to select the line from the second card that was similar in length to the line on the first card. It was a very simple task. Here's an example of two cards used in the experiment. Okay. I think you have to see it yourself. The experiment always began the same. First, there would be some easy trials where everyone agreed on the correct line. After a few rounds, the participants were shown a test that was just as obvious as the previous ones, except the actors in the room would select an intentionally incorrect answer. For example, they would respond A to the comparison shown in the figure. Everyone would agree that the lines are the same, even though they were clearly different. The subject who's unaware of the rules would immediately become bewildered. Their eyes would open wide. They would laugh nervously to themselves. They would double check the reactions of other participants. Their agitation would grow as one person after another delivered the same incorrect response. Soon the subject began to doubt their own eyes. Eventually, they delivered the answer they knew in their heart to be incorrect. Ash ran this experiment many times and in many different ways. What he discovered was that the number of actors increased, so did the conformity of the subject. If it was just the subject and one actor, then there was no effect on the person's choice. They just assumed they were in the room with a dummy. When two actors were in the room with the subject, there was still little impact. But as the number of people increased to 3 actors and 4 and all the way to 8, the subject became more likely to second guess themselves. By the end of the experiment, nearly 75% of the subjects had agreed with the group answer, even though it was obviously incorrect.
There's this story, no? The one guy will be carrying that goat, and yeah, everybody keeps telling him, no, it's a sheep. He'll say, somebody will say something, and this guy starts believing what everybody is saying.
Yeah, it was a Jataka tale, or
Yeah.
was it
Basically,
Hito?
herd mentality.
Yeah. Whenever we are unsure how to act, we look to the group to guide our behavior. We are constantly scanning our environment and wondering, what is everyone else doing? We check reviews on Amazon or Yelp or TripAdvisor because we want to imitate the best buying, eating, and travel habits. It's usually a smart strategy. There is evidence in numbers, but there can be a downside. The normal behavior of the tribe often overpowers the desired behavior of the individual. For example, one study found that when a chimpanzee learns an effective way to crack nuts open as a member of one group and then switches to a new group that uses a less effective strategy, it'll avoid using the superior nut cracking method just to blend in with the rest of the other chimps. Humans are similar. There is tremendous internal pressure to comply with the norms of the group. The reward of being accepted is often greater than the reward of winning an argument, looking smart, or finding truth. Most days, we rather be wrong with a crowd than be right by ourselves. The human mind knows how to get along with others. It wants to get along with others. That is a natural mode. You can override it, you can choose to ignore the group or to stop caring what other people think. But it takes work. Running against the grain of your culture requires extra effort. When changing your habits means challenging the tribe, change is unattractive. When changing your habits means fitting in with the tribe, change is very attractive. Imitating the powerful. Humans everywhere pursue power, prestige, and status. We want pins and medallions on our jackets. We want president or partner in our titles. We want to be acknowledged, recognized, and praised. This tendency can seem vain, but overall, it's a smart move. Historically, a person with greater power and status has access to more resources, worries less about survival, and proves to be a more attractive mate. We are drawn to behaviors that earn us respect, approval, admiration, and status. We want to be the one in the gym who can do muscle ups, or the musician who can play the hardest chord progressions, or the parent who has the most accomplished children because these things separate us from the crowd. Once we fit in, we start looking for ways to stand out. This is one reason we care so much about the habits of highly effective people. We try to copy the behavior of successful people because we desire success ourselves. Many of our daily habits are imitations of people we admire. You replicate the marketing strategy of the most successful firms in your industry. You make a recipe from your favorite baker. You borrow the storytelling strategies of your favorite writer. You mimic the communication style of your boss. We imitate people we envy. Wow. High, lot of information to absorb. High status people enjoy the approval, respect, and praise of others. And that means if a behavior can get us approval, respect, and praise, we find it attractive. We are also motivated to avoid behaviors that would lower our status. We trim our hedges and mow our lawn because we don't want to be the slob of the neighborhood. When our mother comes to visit, we clean up the house because we don't want to be judged. We're continuously wondering, what will others think of me? And altering our behavior based on the answer. The Polgar sisters, the chess prodigies mentioned at the beginning of this chapter, are evidence of the powerful and lasting impact social influences can have on our behavior. The sisters practiced chess for many hours each day and continued this remarkable effort for decades. But these habits and behaviors maintained their attractiveness in part because they were valued by their culture. From the praise of their parents to the achievement of different status markers like becoming a grandmaster, they had many reasons to continue their effort. Chapter summary. The culture we live in determines which behaviors are attractive to us. We tend to adopt habits that are praised and approved of by our culture because we have a strong desire to fit in and to belong to the tribe. We tend to imitate the habits of three social groups: the close, family and friends; the many, the tribe; and the powerful, those with status and prestige. One of the most effective things you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where, one, your desired behavior is the normal behavior; two, you already have something in common with the group. Okay. The normal behavior of the tribe is often overpowers the desired behavior of the individual. Most days, we rather be wrong with the crowd than be right by ourselves. If a behavior can get us approval, respect, and praise, we find it attractive.
How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. In late 2012, I was sitting in an old apartment just a few blocks from Istanbul's most famous street, Istiklal Caddesi. I was in the middle of a 4-day trip to Turkey, and my guide, Mike, was relaxing in a worn out armchair a few feet away. Mike wasn't really a guide, he was just a guy from Maine who had been living in Turkey for 5 years, but he offered to show me around while I was visiting the country and I took him up on it. On this particular night, I had been invited to dinner with him and a handful of his Turkish friends. There were 7 of us, and I was the only one who hadn't, at some point, smoked at least one pack of cigarette per day. I asked one of the Turks how he got started. Friends, he said. It always starts with your friends. One friend smokes, then you try it. What was truly fascinating was that half of the people in the room had managed to quit smoking. Mike had been smoke free for a few years at that point, and he swore up and down that he broke the habit because of a book called Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. It frees you from the mental burden of smoking, he said. It tells you, stop lying to yourself. You know you can't actually want to smoke. You know you don't really enjoy this. It helps you feel like you're not the victim anymore. You start to realize that you don't need to smoke. I had never tried a cigarette, but I took a look at the book afterward out of curiosity. The author employs an interesting strategy to help smokers eliminate their cravings. He systematically reframes each cue associated with smoking and gives it a new meaning. He says things like, you think you're quitting smoking, but you're not quitting anything because cigarettes do nothing for you. You think smoking is something you need to do to be social, but it's not. You can be social without smoking at all. You think smoking is about relieving stress, but it's not. Smoking does not relieve your nerves, it destroys them. Over and over, he repeats these phrases and others like them. Get it clearly into your mind, he says. You are losing nothing, and you are making marvelous positive gains not only in health, energy, and money, but also in confidence, self-respect, freedom, and most important of all, in the length and quality of your future life. By the time you get to the end of the book, smoking seems like the most ridiculous thing in the world to do. And if you no longer expect smoking to bring you any benefits, you have no reason to smoke. It is an inversion of the second law of behavior change, make it unattractive. Now I know this idea might sound overly simplistic. Just change your mind and you can quit smoking. But stick with me for a minute. Where cravings come from? Every behavior has a surface level craving and a deeper underlying motive. I often have a craving that goes something like this: I want to eat tacos. If you were to ask me why I want to eat tacos, I wouldn't say because I need food to survive. But the truth is, somewhere deep down, I'm motivated to eat tacos because I have to eat to survive. The underlying motive is to obtain food and water, even if my specific craving is for taco. Some of our underlying motives include conserve energy, obtain food and water, find love and reproduce, connect and bond with others, win social acceptance and approval, reduce uncertainty, achieve status and prestige. A craving is just a specific manifestation of a deeper underlying motive. Your brain did not evolve with a desire to smoke cigarettes or to check Instagram or to play video games. At a deep level, you simply want to reduce uncertainty and relieve anxiety, to win social acceptance and approval, or to achieve status. Look at nearly any product that is habit forming, and you'll see that it does not create a new motivation, but rather latches onto the underlying motives of human nature. Find love and reproduce using Tinder. Connect and bond with others browsing Facebook. Win social acceptance and approval posting on Instagram. Reduce uncertainty searching on Google. Achieve status and prestige playing video games. Your habits are modern day solutions to ancient desires, new versions of old vices. The underlying motives behind human behavior remain the same. The specific habits we perform differ based on the period of history. Here's the powerful part: there are many different ways to address the same underlying motive. One person might learn to reduce stress by smoking a cigarette. What is that? Here's the powerful part: there are many different ways to address the same underlying motive. Okay. One person might learn to reduce stress by smoking a cigarette. Another person learns to ease their anxiety by going for a run. Your current habits are not necessarily the best way to solve the problems you face. They are just the methods you learn to use. Once you associate a solution with the problem you need to solve, you keep coming back to it. Habits are all about associations. These associations determine whether we predict a habit to be worth repeating or not. As we covered in our discussion of the first law, your brain is continuously absorbing information and noticing cues in the environment. Every time you perceive a cue, your brain runs a stimulation and makes a prediction about what to do in the next moment. Cue, you notice that the stove is hot. Prediction, if I touch it, I'll get burned, so I should avoid touching it. Cue, you see that the traffic light turned green. Prediction, if I step on the gas, I'll make it safely through the intersection and get closer to my destination, so I should step on the gas. You see a cue, categorize it based on past experience, and determine the appropriate response. This all happens in an instant, but it plays a crucial role in your habits because every action is preceded by a prediction. Life feels reactive, but it's actually predictive. All day long, you're making your best guess of how to act, giving what you've just seen, and what has worked for you in the past. You are endlessly predicting what will happen in the next moment. Our behavior is heavily dependent on these predictions. Put another way, our behavior is heavily dependent on how we interpret the events that happen to us, not necessarily the objective reality of the events themselves. Two people can look at the same cigarette and one feels the urge to smoke while the other is repulsed by the smell. The same cue can spark a good habit or a bad habit depending on your prediction. The cause of your habits is actually the prediction that precedes them. These predictions lead to feelings, which is how we typically describe a craving, a feeling, a desire, an urge. Feelings and emotions transform the cues we perceive and the predictions we make into a signal that we can apply. They help explain what we are currently sensing. For instance, whether or not you realize it, you're noticing how warm or cold you feel right now. If the temperature drops by 1 degree, you probably won't do anything. If the temperature drops 10 degrees, however, you feel cold and put on another layer of clothing. Feeling cold was the signal that prompted you to act. You have been sensing the cues the entire time, but it is only when you predict that you would be better off in a different state that you take action. A craving is a sense that something is missing. It is the desire to change your internal state. When the temperature falls, there is a gap between what your body is currently sensing and what it wants to be sensing. This gap between your current state and your desired state provides a reason to act. Continue, Gandhi.
Okay, yeah. Desire is the difference between where you are now and where you want to be in the future. Even the tiniest action is tinged with the motivation to feel differently than you do in the moment. When you binge eat or light up or browse social media, what you really want is not a potato chip or a cigarette or a bunch of likes. What you really want is to feel different. Our feelings and emotions tell us whether to hold steady in our current state or to make a change. They help us decide the best course of action. Neurologists have discovered that when emotions and feelings are impaired, we actually lose the ability to make decisions. We have no signal of what to pursue and what to avoid. As the neuroscientist Antonio Damasio explains, it is emotion that allows you to mark things as good, bad, or indifferent. To summarize, the specific cravings you feel and habits you perform are really an attempt to address your fundamental underlying motives. Whether a habit successfully addresses a motive, you develop a craving to do it again. In time, you learn to predict that checking social media will help you feel loved or that watching YouTube will allow you to forget your fears. Habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings. And we can use this insight to our advantage rather than to our detriment. How to reprogram your brain to enjoy hard habits. You can make hard habits more attractive if you can learn to associate them with positive experience. Sometimes all you need is a slight mindset shift. For instance, we often talk about everything we have to do in a given day. You have to wake up early for work. You have to make another sales call for your business. You have to cook dinner for your family. Now imagine changing just one word. You don't have to. You get to. You get to wake up early for work. You get to make another sales call for your business. You get to cook dinner for your family. By simply changing one word, you shift the way you view each event. You transition from seeing these behaviors as burdens and turn them into opportunities. The key point is that both versions of reality are true. You have to do those things, but you also get to do them. We can find evidence for whatever mindset we choose. I once heard a story about a man who uses a wheelchair. When asked if it was difficult being confined, he responded, I'm not confined to my wheelchair, I'm liberated by it. If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and never able to leave my house. This shift in perspective completely transformed how he lived each day. Reframing your habits to highlight their benefits rather than their drawbacks is a fast and lightweight way to reprogram your mind and make a habit seem more attractive. Exercise. Many people associate exercise with being a challenging task that drains energy and wears you down. You can just as easily view it as a way to develop skills and build you up. Instead of telling yourself, I need to go on a run in the morning, say it's time to build endurance and get fast. Finance. Saving money is often associated with sacrifice. However, you can associate it with freedom rather than limitation if you realize one simple truth: living below your current means increases your future means. The money you save this month increases your purchasing power next month. Meditation. Anyone who has tried meditation for more than 3 seconds knows how frustrating it can be when the next distraction inevitably pops into your mind. You can transform frustration into delight when you realize that each interruption gives you a chance to practice returning to your breath. Distraction is a good thing because you need distractions to practice meditation. Okay? I didn't think of it that way. Pre-game jitters. Many people feel anxious before delivering a big presentation or competing in an important event. They experience quicker breathing, a faster heart rate, heightened arousal. If we interpret these feelings negatively, then we feel threatened and tense up. If we interpret feelings positively, then we can respond with fluidity and grace. You can reframe, I'm nervous to I'm excited and I'm getting an adrenaline rush to help me concentrate. These little mindset shifts aren't magic, but they can help change the feelings you associate with a particular habit or situation. If you want to take a step further, you can create a motivation ritual. You simply practice associating your habits with something you enjoy. Then you can use that cue whenever you need a bit of motivation. For instance, if you always play the same song before having sex, then you begin to link the music with the act. Whenever you want to get in the mood, just press play. Ed Latimore, a boxer and writer from Pittsburgh, benefited from a similar strategy without knowing it. Odd realization, he wrote. My focus and concentration goes up just by putting my headphones on while writing. I don't even have to play any music. Without realizing it, he was conditioning himself. In the beginning, he put his headphones on, played some music he enjoyed, and did focused work. And in after doing it 5, 10, 20 times, automatically he okay, this missing line. Anyway,
Putting his
automatic.
headphones on became a cue that he automatically associated with increased focus. The craving followed naturally. Athletes use similar strategies to get themselves in the mindset to perform. During my baseball career, I developed a specific ritual of stretching and throwing before each game. The whole sequence took about 10 minutes, and I did it the same way every single time. While it physically warmed me up to play, more importantly, it put me in the right mental state. I began to associate my pre game ritual with feeling competitive and focused. Even if I wasn't motivated beforehand, by the time I was done with the ritual, I was in game mode. You can adapt this strategy for nearly any purpose. Say you want to feel happier in general. Find something that makes you truly happy, like petting your dog or taking a bubble bath, and then create a short routine that you perform every time before you do the thing you love. Maybe you take 3 deep breaths and smile, 3 deep breaths, smile, pet the dog, repeat. Eventually, you'll begin to associate this breath and smile routine with being in a good mood. It becomes a cue that means feeling happy. Once established, you can break it out anytime you need to change your emotional state. Stressed at work, take 3 deep breaths and smile. Sad about life, 3 deep breaths and smile. Once a habit has been built in, the cue can prompt a craving even if it has little to do with the original situation. The key to finding and fixing the causes of your bad habits is to reframe the associations you have about them. It's not easy, but if you can reprogram your predictions, you can transform a hard habit into an attractive one.
You want
Chapter
to?
summary. The inversion of the second law of behavior change is make it unattractive. Every behavior has a surface level craving and a deeper underlying motive. Your habits are modern day solutions to ancient desires. The cause of your habits is actually the prediction that precedes them. The prediction leads to a feeling. Highlight the benefits of avoiding a bad habit to make it seem unattractive. Habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings and unattractive when we associate them with negative feelings. Create a motivation ritual by doing something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit.
Okay, so there are tables. I will just continue reading the table.
We should do this. We'll do this. Continue.
How to create a good habit. The first law says make it obvious. And 1.1, the parts of there are 4 parts in the first law. Fill out the habits scorecard. Write down your current habits to become aware of them. Use implementation intentions. I will dash behavior at dash time in dash location. Use habit stacking after current habit. I will dash new habit. Design your environment to make the cues of good habits obvious and visible. The second law states make it attractive. 2.1 is use temptation bundling. Pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. 2.2 join a culture where your desired behavior is normal behavior. 2.3 create a motivation ritual. Do something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. The third law says make it easy. Fourth law is make it satisfying. How to break a bad habit? Inversion of the first law, make it invisible. So 1.5 is reduce exposure, remove the cues of your bad habits from your environment. Inversion of the second law, make it unattractive. Reframe your mindset, highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits. Inversion of third law is make it difficult. Inversion of fourth law is make it unsatisfying. The third law, make it easy. We have another 5 minutes, Meera. I'll just read that and
We have time. Okay.
yeah, we have another 5 minutes. Okay.
Not just that, today only 2 of them are there. See how much you want to finish. And see in this, no, you can download a printable version of this habit cheat sheet. I think this is what we should do. We should download. In that, it's not given.
No, I'm in my book.
Okay.
My
Yeah. It's the same thing only, but here there's one link. Let's see. Okay, fine.
yeah.
Go continue.
Okay, because they're like 5 minutes, and I'm not sure how much I can read.
No, it's okay. What I'm saying is we have less people here. Maybe we'll finish it off. That's all.
Yeah, we'll finish the 11th chapter then. Walk slowly, but never backward. On the first day of class, Jerry Ulsman, a professor at University of Florida, divided his film photography students into 2 groups. Everyone on the left side of the classroom, he explained, would be the quantity group. They would be graded solely on the amount of work they produced. On the final day of class, he would tally the number of photos submitted by each student. 100 photos would rate an A, 90 a B, 80 photos a C, and so on. Meanwhile, everybody in the right side of the room would be in the quality group. They would be graded only on the excellence of their work. They would only need to produce 1 photo during the semester. But to get an A, it had to be a nearly perfect image. At the end of the term, he was surprised to find that all the best photos were produced by the quantity group. During the semester, these students were busy taking photos, experimenting with composition and lighting, testing out various methods in the dark room and learning from their mistakes. In the process of creating hundreds of photos, they hone their skills. Meanwhile, the at uh, quality group sat around speculating about perfection. In the end, they had little to show for the efforts other than unverified theories and one mediocre photo. Okay. It is easy to get bogged down trying to find the optimal plan for change, the fastest way to lose weight, the best program to build muscle, the perfect idea for a side hustle. We are so focused on figuring out the best approach that we never get around to taking action. As Voltaire once wrote, the best is the enemy of the good. I refer to this as the difference between being in motion and taking action. Two ideas sound similar, but they're not the same. When you're in motion, you're planning and strategizing and learning. Those are all good things, but they don't produce a result. Action, on the other hand, is the type of behavior that will deliver an outcome. If I outline 20 ideas for our articles I want to write, that's motion. If I actually sit down and write an article, that's action. If I search for a better diet plan and read a few books on the topic, that's motion. If I actually eat a healthy meal, that's an action. Sometimes motion is useful, but it will never produce an outcome by itself. It doesn't matter how many times you go talk to the personal trainer. That motion will never get you in shape. Only the action of working out will get the result you're looking to achieve. If motion doesn't lead to results, why do we do it? Sometimes we do it because we actually need to plan or learn more. But more often than not, we do it because motion allows us to feel that we are making progress without running the risk of failure. Most of us are experts at avoiding criticism. It doesn't feel good to fail or to be judged. Okay, there's another missing text. Dash tend to avoid
So
situation that
I'll what was that? Most of us are experts. That one, that is the one, no?
yes, avoiding criticism, it does not feel good to fail or to be judged.
Publicly. So we tend to avoid situations where that might happen. And that's the biggest reason why you slip into motion rather than taking action. You want to delay failure. It's easy to be in motion and convince yourself that you're still making progress. You think I've got conversations going with 4 potential clients right now. This is good. We are moving in the right direction. Or I brainstormed some ideas for that book I want to write. This is coming together. Motion makes you feel like you're getting things done, but really you're just preparing to get something done. When preparation becomes a form of procrastination, you need to change something. You don't want to merely be planning, you want to be practicing. If you want to master a habit, the key is to start with repetition, not perfection. You don't need to map out every feature of a new habit, you just need to practice it. This is the first takeaway of the third law. You just need to get your reps in. How long does it
Meera, it's already 10:46. The rest of the text is pretty long. It'll take another 15 minutes. Yeah?
okay, we'll discuss and then finish?
Yeah. So who's going to go first? Mansa, you've been missing, so why don't you start?
Yeah, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. And what are your takeaways?
Yeah, in first, I'm familiar with imitating the many, wrong with the crowd using right by ourselves. Because in my school, I faced this, ma'am. Because whenever ma'am asked the question after she completing chapter, uh, I uh, I used to say, in my mind, there is correct answer, but some people, 10 members are saying wrong answer, and whole crowd saying that it is only correct answer, and the whole crowd says that wrong answer. But again, I used to stand up and say, this is the answer, ma'am. Then ma'am used to, yes, this is correct. Then I used to, okay. Then I should realize, ma'am. So we should not follow the crowd. We should follow the correct answer, whatever it may be. So this point hit me, ma'am, very closely.
Good, good, good. See, that's the whole point, no? Because we tend to follow. You saw the study made by Professor Ash. It said, if the actor said everybody told the wrong answer, the more people said the wrong answer, though he knew he was saying the wrong answer, he said it. You
Yeah,
know,
ma'am.
that's because we want acceptance. All of us do. You
Yeah,
like it, you don't like it.
full imitation of people we admire. Yes, ma'am. We admire the people who succeeded in their life. Yes, we do. It's like blindly, ma'am. Whenever we admire some person, so if I follow their habits, whatever they do, I can also be in that position. But we need to motivate ourselves by. It is also one part, ma'am. Taking their habits and following, but part of them we need to also motivate ourselves, and we need to our own things to uh, win that position and that success, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes, I'll tell you something, Mansa. There's something you look at it this way is that what worked for him because it was a separate set of, he's a different individual with a different set of parameters surrounding him. Situations are different. You are a separate individual. Your situation is different. There's certain things which are underlying that you would love to do it. See, I see my mother-in-law. She's super, super disciplined. I would want to be, but I'm not like that. So she's super disciplined. She's like, if she says she'd do something by today evening, everything would be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yes.
there's so many things you can look at. I look at Meera ma'am and I keep thinking, oh my God, she's stepping out of her comfort zone and doing so many things.
Yes, ma'am.
So it is, we have to look at ourselves differently. We have to see what we can adopt. We can adopt and then adapt to suit us.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
And surface level of cravings and a deeper. Yes, ma'am. This surface level of cravings, they might be distract us, but we need to highlight the benefits of that uh, bad habits, and we need to highlight what they doing bad to us. Yes, ma'am. Whenever I faced this, ma'am. Whenever I have mid one exams in 3-1, I uh, I used to uh, see more social media, ma'am, using Instagram. Whenever I come to hostel, no one is talk. Yeah, in our room there are 4 members, ma'am. No one will talk, ma'am. They just came and they use mobile, ma'am, until dinner time. It's 8 o'clock. So no one is talking. Everyone is on phone. So it habituated to me also. No one is talking. So I will also watch the phone, and I was scrolling the Insta, and the time was 7, ma'am. Whenever I started to see Instagram, it's 5, and after I'm closing the phone, it's time 7. Then I realized what I'm doing, what they are doing, and I also habituated to that. So I made that, I underlined, and written in a one book. Then I deactivated my account, and I used to go terrace, and I used to prefer books, ma'am. I every day I used to take that book, and I used to see that sentence, and I used to go terrace. If I didn't see that book, I used to go, and again I will see any. If I make that, I will like, if I mind will distract. So I every day I used to see that book, that line, and I used to go terrace, and I will used to take books, ma'am.
So you made an implementation intention. That's
Yeah,
very good. Without realizing you did it. And that's very nice.
if it hit them, we need to highlight that unattractive thing in a bad thing, ma'am. It's a main important point, ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful, Mansa. How about you, Akshaya? What are
Ma'am,
your takeaways?
things, three things I like, ma'am. One is that about peer pressure. That even I have experienced that, ma'am. When it comes to studies, if my friends are studying, even I'll get motivated. If they're also chilling, even I feel like I'll leave. It's fine. And second thing is about action and motion. Most of the times I'll be in motion only, ma'am. And it's
Welcome to the club. Even I am like that.
I research a lot about it. I'll just try gaining a lot of knowledge, but when it comes to action, there's no consistency. For example, I'm a civil services aspirant. Like 2 3 days, I'll have at most motivation to study polity, geography, etc. things, and editorials also. And sometimes, if I don't understand or if something is related to history or any prerequisites are required which I didn't understand, then I'll be like, no, I'm unable to do. Then I'll take a break. Again, I'll forget old stuff. Everything, the cycle continues. And then one more thing is about the perspective, ma'am, especially that wheelchair thing which he said was really nice. I think if
Wonderful.
everybody uh, I think what I personally feel is in everything, let it be at most negative situation or at most worst situation. I think there is something or the other thing, a small positive thing, which if we notice, the if our perspective change, will become more open minded, probably.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. Because so I had an uncle who is just a year older to me, and he was wheelchair bound by the time he was 15. He had a progressive spinal problem, muscular problem. And I really, earlier, no, he used to feel very shy. He never used to come out when we were young. He never used to hang out with others. Then he saw another cousin of ours who, though he had polio, he never stopped from going anywhere. He used to use his crutches, request people, go in autos, used to go everywhere. And, my uncle took so much inspiration from him, and he went on to become so active socially, so active. He actually started an NGO that's called Challengers on Wheels, and he started helping people who were in wheelchairs. He created a community where people with wheelchairs could come and discuss their issues, discuss their stuff. It's very different how you look at perspectives.
Yes, ma'am, totally.
That's exactly what that wheelchair thing reminded me of. Reminded me of my uncle who passed just recently, 2 years now, because of his disease. But he was an amazing individual, and I'm so glad that I'm speaking about him here. Okay, Meera, I think you can tell your takeaway and we can close the meeting.
I'm too tired to say anything, but I was just going through that cheat sheet. So I thought it's time for us to start putting it down, sort of summarize the whole thing, and then first identify which is the habit that we want to work on, and then what are the different ways in which we are going to implement. So that is what is the next plan of action. Hmm?
Okay. Hmm? So, chalo then, good night, everyone.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we'll see more of you
No,
tomorrow.
absolutely. This is very demotivating for us. Just two of them. Two of us reading for two of them, huh?
Good, no, they have a smaller audience. Let's take it in a more positive way. It's just not two of us reading to each other. We
Okay.
were ready for that as well.
Chalo, then good night. Hmm?
Good night.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye bye.